Welcome, folks. This is Callisto8413 with another online free, well, it's not really a game, the Mars Simulation Project, version 3.1.0/B1, build 4421 64-bit 9.0.4/2 CPU threads. Whatever. It's free, it's online, it allows you to basically run a Mars settlement. It's not a game, though. In some ways, it doesn't have an ending. It's meant actually for research. Let me explain a little bit. As you know, we have NASA, which really started in the 60s with the directive to explore space, explore the atmosphere, other planets, so on and so forth. And much of that, when you think about that, you think of technology, you think of robots and ways to put satellites in orbit that could check the weather or look for minerals, or stations in orbit where people could do research and study how humans could survive. One aspect, though, of space exploration is how human beings will be affected by being isolated, by being with only a few other people, by being in other environments. So Mars Simulation Project deals a lot more with the people. Yes, there's graphics you could see. There's a moon base, well, a Mars base. This is Mars, not the moon. And there's things you could do right now. One of the rovers is being prepared for a prospecting expedition. Basically, two of the individuals on this base are going to be going out to prospect. Let me increase the speed a little bit. You can see the little dots move around. The little green guys are the humans, and the little orange guys are the bots. Now, this simulation is less about the technology and, it's not a game. This is allowing people to put different individuals onto the planet and seeing how well they interact. Finding the balance between, individuals, how many people you can put there, resources, stuff like that. For example, this monitors the people on the base. Right now, two of them are getting ready to go on a prospecting trip. So they're loading the Spice Trader, which is the name of that rover. They have different personalities. It monitors their health, their hunger, their fatigue, their stress, their performance. Each individual, let's see, Leonardo da Vinci here. Let's see, I have to say before anything else, the user interface isn't the best. But this is an individual. We could monitor his activity, his attributes, his career. He's an engineer, and here he's acting as a resource specialist. His favorite foods, his preference when it comes to certain tasks. General information about him. He is 41 years old. He's a little older than the others, if I remember right. His health. And yes, it does keep track of things like stress, energy, fatigue, if he's having health problems. Inventory, he has a EVA suit because he's going out to prospect, so on and so forth. Location, he is now at the lander tab, so he's still here. His personality, and this is an important part of the simulation because basically this could be set up by you, and it will affect his relationships with other people. This is his schedule. It tells you what he eats, when he reads, science, whatever science he's carrying out. He is the engineer, so he's probably not doing a lot of science. Skills, his greatest skills, he's good at management, material science, which is one of the reasons I'm sending him out. Social. He's not really friendly with certain people. He's okay or indifferent with others. It tells him his, you know, his relationship with other people. And this could be 4 people, 8 people, 48 people. You could actually expand on this station and add more because there are people coming in. Resupply systems. Resupply missions, I should say. So he's actually indifferent to the person he's probably going to be out there working with. Probably not the best way. This is Mars society, which would decide, and they're trying to figure out, can humans live out here? That's the mission objective. So the more research and missions you do that align with that, the better off you're going to be. You kind of get science points, and that helps you on your mission. We do have, in fact, vehicles, and one of them, like I said, is on a mission. The settlement, there's only one. What the missions are, we have one mission going on. Goods, these are things we have in storage. And they're worth so many points. Food, what we have available, and some is just basic food that's probably, you know, frozen food. But some of it's fresh because we could grow it ourselves. Events, there's been no events yet. You know, offenders, like storms or stuff like that. What we're growing is not really very interesting. We only have one greenhouse. And then the robots, we have 4 of them, 2 of which are gardeners, and 2 of which are maintenance and makers. They actually manufacture what we can in settlement when we need it. Because every once in a while, you do need something to be made. For example, this is the greenhouse. And right now, if I check the description, it'll tell me this is a greenhouse, blah, 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 inflatable. These are the details of the greenhouse. So 6 people could be in there at one time. It's farming. It tells me the solar. This is the amount of, how should I say this? This is the amount of sunlight I'm actually getting from the sun. This will change depending on what planet I'm on, weather, stuff like that. This tells me what we're growing, how it's doing. I can add other things to be grown. There's not really any researchers in here. There is a botanist. Tells us the power we're getting, resources, malfunction, and conditions. It does require 1 fuel tank. They need a part replaced. Now, as you can see, that's the greenhouse. That's where people are living. You can kind of guess what it looks like. You know, that's the other rover. That's the rover we're using. That's going to be packed up. That's a tiny little. I forgot what that is. It's a light utility vehicle. It'll do stuff like help in. Think of it as a bulldozer. It'll help in mining if we ever decide to try mining and stuff like that. These are ERV based. These are the equipment they send ahead of time to help set up backup generators, stuff like that. And these are our generators, actually. Nuclear reactors. You could put up solar panels. And it's been less than a day since they've been looked over. And you could control the speed. But the thing about this simulation is really, like I said, it's not really a game. It's meant for people to kind of imagine what life on Mars would be like. Picking the people, how they work together, what happens if they work under stress. The 2 people I picked to go on this mission, I picked because of their skill level, not because of whether they like each other or not. So you could play this, and even at high speed, it'll take at least a day of real time to play a year. And the thing is, we do have resupply ships on the way. That should not be going there, because that is not an actual base. I'm not sure. See, I've already. This is funny. This is a save games. This is the same game. And these 2 right here were not there the last time I played it. They've just popped right in. The problem with that is that there is nothing there for them to go to. They really, yeah, that's where you want to go. That's where you want to go. Commit changes. See, you want to come to a base that actually exists, guys. You don't want to go to a base that doesn't exist. So, yeah, there you go. See? That's one of the glitches of this game. Things happen when you don't want them to. Sometimes it won't register a click. Sometimes we have no science going on because we don't have any science labs or anything like that. We can make missions. The mission we're doing right now is one I made. And that's where it's going to be going. You can also, this is a dashboard. Tells you a little bit about Mars and all the people on it. And you can also search for different individual people, robots, stuff like that. Time, Martian time. You could do that up here too. There's the human time and Earth time and Martian time. And then there's help, which allows you to go through a tutorial, which is it never really does well. There's a project site where they actually have a website that tells you about a little bit about why they set this up. They have a forum. They have also a Facebook page. And this is really for serious people who want to kind of set up their own base. But once again, it's not a game. There's not going to be any alien artifacts. There's not going to be laser guns. There's not going to be a choose on adventure storyline. You do what you want to do, but, you know, depending on what you do, you get certain points, which you can then use to try to get more equipment. You can make other colonies. There's nothing to prevent you from starting a colony someplace else, making a mining colony someplace else, making a trading colony, you know, putting a colony in among all the other colonies to act like a trading center. There's nothing to stop you from actually kind of making a full colonial, you know, nation on Mars from all. You know, you could send a Chinese colony and a European colony and a NASA colony and all that stuff and have them work together. There's nothing to stop you from doing that at all, outside of the fact that it might take you a very, very long time to do such a thing. And also, it took me hours to get this to work on my computer. Now, this computer is a Windows 7. It might have worked better on one of my newer computers, or it might work better on the older computer. I don't know. But it's a very niche game. It's very, you know, it's based on the newest information. It's based on what we believe about human behavior, conditions on Mars, and the most accurate and most realistic methods to bring energy to Mars, bring air and water to Mars, how we'd live on Mars. It is kind of fascinating. And you could actually, let me slow things down in case I need to grab people. Oops, auto-saving. But let me slow things down a little bit. All right. Okay. So if I right-click somebody, the only sad part about this is that whenever you do this, you go away from the map, and it's a little annoying. So that's Leonardo da Vinci. We already looked at him. He's an engineer, research specialist. He is sleeping. He is part of the mission. So he will be embarking soon once they've collected everything. I have to go back to map and settlement map, and this mini map over here shows you Mars and where you are on Mars. We're over here. So I can turn that off, and I can do things like daylight tracking, which will make day and night, which really, from our stand, really screws up your computer. But construction sites, we don't have any buildings. We have 2 buildings. So, well, we probably have more than 2 buildings, but so this is a robot here. Yeah, garden bot 1. He's tending the crops, or she's tending the crops. I guess it doesn't matter what, you know. Maintenance schedule. This is their schedule. Hide repeats. Basically, it has two descriptions, 2 phases. It sleeps when it's not doing anything, or it's tending crops. So, and I have to put on settlement again. It doesn't really, it's kind of, like you can tell this is a little, the user interface and how it's set up. This isn't meant to be a game. This is meant for serious research to get a lot of information, to slow things down, speed things up, really get you in there. Why is somebody outside? You gonna suffocate? What are you doing outside? So you're loading the... Okay, so those guys are loading the... this person's sleeping probably. So once you get to it, yeah, Da Vinci's sleeping. Once you get into it, it becomes easier to figure out where everything is. What are you doing in the wall? Loading spiced. Okay, so you people are walking around outside, inside, just loading it up. So, and you could veer out if you really want to, because at certain points these things could become huge. They could take up the whole map. You could have 50, 60 people here. You could have larger greenhouses. You could have labs that are focused for research. This is just a hab lab. But you could have a whole bunch of areas set up, bunkers. Because of what I understand, there could be radiation storms and other things. There could be dangers. I'm not sure they've been programmed in or not. But the idea is that it's meant to be as realistic as possible, so people could try to, learn about what is possible in a Martian colony, what the ideas were. From what I understand, they're always welcoming feedback. Yep, I think people are eating. So this seems to be the lunch area. This seems to be kind of like an office space, exercise area. This is maintenance and storage. This is where the bots like to go around. I think this is entry and exits, or maintenance, more maintenance area. Obviously bathroom, water area, and then 3 separate living spaces, which is, to be honest, I think a waste of space. But and there's 2 bots working over here, and then these guys over here. What's he doing? In sleep mode. They're not doing anything. It's kind of hard to describe anything else because nothing else is happening. Like I said, it's not really a huge game. It's very much a niche game. In some ways, I think of it as Democracy 3. Once again, I keep calling this a game, but it's not really a game. But it is kind of like Democracy 3, and that's a niche game which depends a lot on the beliefs of the people who made it. This simulation is based a lot on engineering, biochemistry, what we know about Mars, what we know about human behavior. That might change within a month, within a year, and so forth. But it does allow people, if they're really into the Mars idea of colonizing Mars, and they don't like all those silly little games that show, monsters on Mars or meteorites striking glass cities, and they want to get something a little more realistic, this might be for them. I'm not sure it's for kids, but if you're an adult, you're into Mars, you're into the idea of Mars settlement, you're one of those people who really go to lectures or go to conventions about it. If you invested money into the ideas of going to Mars or colonizing the planets, this might be something to scratch that itch. Otherwise, I would suggest avoiding it. It took me hours to get to work. It works pretty well, but even at high speed, it might take a day for a year to pass by, and that means you're going to see growth very slowly. In other words, it's very realistic, but sometimes that's why it's a simulator. So if you're looking for something that's more of a game and maybe gives you different types of challenges, this is not it. If you're looking for a realistic simulation which allows you to see how people are probably going to act, allows you to set up colonies, because you could race all those resupply missions and remake them on your own, deciding on what equipment you want, how many people you want to show up, what you want to show up. Do you want to make this a farming colony? Do you want this to turn into a mining colony. You could decide what equipment shows up. You could decide where everything's placed. You know, so you can actually make your own little moon base, and you can make that into a story. Like the Dwarf Fortress games I play, you can make that into a story. You can write down notes. You could talk about the individuals. I have no idea how you're going to explain Leonardo da Vinci on Mars, but you know. And you can make different. You can actually also start different colonies. Those resupply missions can also be starting missions where you sent off something very much like this, and you landed someplace else. And if you know enough about Mars, and you know, well, there's minerals over here and there's an ice cap over here, and you land them just right, you could use the resources available. You could collect ice. You can mine for things. These guys can mine for things too if they have the right equipment. I don't think they have the right equipment, but once they start getting more equipment, they could start fiddling around with setting up mining areas and collecting material and trying to manufacture local products on their own. But, you know, that could take years of gameplay, and that means, in years of gameplay in this case, would be a couple weeks of focusing on this. Literally leaving this on all day at high speed. And, excuse me, I mean literally leaving this on all day at high speed, which could drive people nuts. So you'd be spending your whole weekend just 1 year, and you might not get anything done. So this is for the serious, I want to do a Mars settlement simulation people. Alright, thank you for watching and listening to my ramble, but once again, this is a free on the internet. I will put the website below, and thank you for watching.